Hello and welcome to AstroChiron, the video companion for AstroChiron.com. Hopefully it's welcome back though, since this channel is fully established with lots of videos to watch. AstroChiron.com is the one-stop shop for all things astrology, from readings to monthly horoscopes to a free ask feature where you can reach me directly. Anywho, this video is the first in a series that I call Chiron's Playlist. With it, I aim to expound upon some of my and your favorite albums through the lens of astrology by assigning each zodiac sign a song from the album. This series began as an article on astrochiron.com, and that series also started with this very album. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first subject, Frank Ocean's debut album, Channel Orange. We'll start with the proper album introduction, then each song gets its own spotlight, and then we'll get a little personal at the end. Channel Orange was released on July 10th, 2012, which is fitting for the album design as the orange part of the album title refers to Frank's synesthetic assignment of summer with the color orange. Having this album come out at the beginning of summer certainly set the vibe for the whole album rollout, and what a rollout it was. With this album's placement on several best albums of whatever lists, and its huge impact on the music industry, I was sorely surprised to find that its RIAA certification is gold, as I was expecting a platinum certification for such a seminal album. Being gold, this album has sold right around 686,000 copies to date, with 131,000 of those being sold in its first week, which is rather good for a debut. These sales landed it at a number 2 spot in America and the UK, and number 3 in Canada. Channel Orange was very well received by critics. It made the equivalent of 80% or more with every music critic I could find, except New Music Express, who I've never heard of. They gave it 7 out of 10. Metacritic came through with a 92%, while the other critical aggregate, Any Decent Music, gave it an 8.9 out of 10. Audience reception was a little more mixed, I think, but I also was only 15 when this album debuted, so I wasn't really reading music blogs or paying attention to the zeitgeist. To be honest, I do remember the reception of fans souring when Frank came out on Tumblr, but I also am black, and I lived in the South at the time, so there was a lot of anti-queer bias around me. But on a better note, this is one of my favorite albums. I'll get more in depth with my personal feelings for it toward the end, but until then, let's get into the meat of this video. We'll be following the flow of the zodiac as opposed to following the track list. So we're starting with Aries and its appointed song, Sweet Life. This neo-soul jazz funk track was written by Frank himself. In fact, every single song on this album that is not a skit or a cover is written by Frank. Hell, he produced all of those songs as well. When I'm mentioning producers and writers, just assume that Frank is also in the number. He's not the only writer on this song though, as we also have music legend Pharrell Williams with a pen. Pharrell is also a producer on this song, which is quite interesting considering that Pharrell is an Aries sun native. He was able to give this song some of the Martian energy needed to pair it with the Aryan vibe. This song is a challenge to the listener to look outside of oneself and your own comforts. Sweet Life encourages you to emphasize and experience the ways of others. Frank wants his partner to step outside of her privilege and her pretty surroundings to maybe experience something else, something that's curated for her, for them. Lyrics like, you had a landscaper and a housekeeper since you were born, the stars shine always kept you warm. This line refers to an easy life, one of luxury and means. What's more, this person has had these things since birth, not even earning these luxuries themselves. The chart of a person with an Aries rising is called natural. As their houses are led by their associated signs, their lives tend to flow easily. This person has had a similar life. Plus, the sun being exalted in Aries alludes to the star shine lyric. The sun shines more when in the sign of Aries, as he has the energy and confidence to be better able to express himself. The lyrics imply a sense of immaturity exhibited by the subject, not fueled by the search of fun, but by circumstance. This can be seen in lyrics like, so why see the world when you got the beach? Don't know why see the world when you got the beach. Aries is the sign of self. It represents those moments when your own experiences are all you need and you don't need to reach out for anyone or anything else. This is a great feeling of independence, but when taken too far, you may have trouble seeing outside of your own miniature world. This person seems to refuse to branch out. They have the beach in their own mind, allowing them to ignore the less pleasant events going on around them. On to Taurus, who I've paired with Pink Matter. This song features Andre 3000 and his verse, and ad-libs are my favorite features on this album. This song is all funk and soul, though it has a distinct focus on the body, especially the feminine one. This song's link to the feminine put me in the mind of Taurus. While Virgo is linked with physical health and is represented by the maiden, Taurus shows how we view and worship the body. And I think this song also focuses on desire, another Taurian trope. The line, pleasure over matter, instantly struck me as Taurian in nature. Both pleasure and physical matter are associated with Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign associated with physical matters like money, possessions, and even your relationship with your physical body. Pleasure is the ultimate goal, and that is bolstered by the maintenance of physical means. Lines like, that soft pink matter, cotton candy, Majin Buu, close my eyes and fall into you. My God, she's giving me pleasure. really exemplify this focus on the material nature of physical pleasure, pleasure being a word that shows up 8 times in this song. This line provides a sensory image of softness and comfort with things like cotton candy and Majin Buu, a Dragon Ball Z character, conjuring up safe and comfortable imagery of childhood happiness. Frank's moved on to another source of happiness though. His pleasure comes from the double entendre, alluding to sex and the pleasure of it. Taurus is associated with the physical pleasure of sex as well as the basic need for sexual release. This track was produced by James Ho, who is better known as Malay in the industry. He collaborated with Frank as his writing and producing partner on nearly every song on this album. You'll be seeing the name Malay a lot, so make it a drinking game or something. As for writers, 3 Stacks obviously wrote his verse, as is the way of traditional rap performed by classic rappers like himself. The song does actually have a sample of 1985's The Last Dragon, which can be heard in the chanting that fills out the background of each verse. Now on to probably the most popular the most popular song on this album, Thinkin Bout You. While this song doesn't have a sample, it does have an interesting history, one that helps explain why I chose it for Gemini, the 3rd sign. This song was written by Frank, of course, and Robert Shea Taylor. Shea can be recognized in his production on Beyonce's Flaws and All and most of her album 4. With that information, I'll now tell you that this song is technically a cover for Bridget Kelly's Thinking About Forever from her 2011 debut EP, Every Girl. Frank felt that this song was extremely personal to him, so he decided to also perform it himself and even included it on his debut album just a year later. So he both wrote this song and covered it. This can symbolize Gemini's tied to twins, 2 separate entities stemming from the same origin at the same time. They each also provide slightly different perspectives of the same exact story. This chill wave single that was everywhere in 2012 and 2013 was produced by the aforementioned Taylor and Omaz Keith, who is a Sagittarius sun native, Sag being the opposite sign of Gemini. Initially, I chose this song for Gemini because the title literally has thinking in it. Thinking is Gemini's superpower as a mutable air sign and the subject of Mercury, the planet of communication and thought. The whole song is something of a train of thought, ramble, that Frank is well known for, honestly. The whole song has a childhood vibe, even supported by Frank saying that this is about a time when he was 17 or so. Gemini is linked with our formative years, and though 17 is a bit old for Gemini's typical range, the song is still very cerebrally nostalgic and witty, evoking the spirit of Mercury. We can look at lines like, "Since you think I don't love you, I just thought you were cute. That's why I kissed you." This song displays the inquisitive and impulsive nature of Gemini. Frank kissed the guy because he thought he was cute, plain and simple. This is almost like school kids on the playground. Since Gemini is associated with primary school, a focus on social experimentation, lighthearted fun, and the impulsive nature exhibited in the kiss all display the dismissal of romantic interest being equated to inquisitiveness or even simple sexual curiosity. Gemini is often described as flirty, but their cursory feelings often aren't very deep. "A tornado flew around my room before you came. Excuse the mess it made. It usually doesn't rain in." Perfectly encapsulates the chaos of a tornado, which is a perfect symbol for Gemini. A restless and powerful force made entirely of air is a perfect metaphor for the mutable air sign, painting him as an ever-moving force of fluent thought and free-ranging speech. Frank is also lying to this guy, saying his room is messy because of a tornado. I'm not implying that Geminis inherently lie, but they certainly have fun with the truth more than most signs. They're also more likely to dip into wordplay like puns. Switching from thinking about our memories to actually emotionally reflecting on them, we get to one of my favorites, Forrest Gump. This song has a focus on past feelings for someone, though they aren't presented in specific memories like the cerebral thinking about you. Cancers are very subjective, so instead of recalling facts about a memory, they're more likely to remember how they were feeling during that time instead. As a bonus, this song is named after an older classic movie, which was itself based in nostalgia, a huge tenet of Cancer. Though I've never seen the film, the song Forrest Gump can be found coming from one of the various speakers in my apartment at least a couple times a month. A line that gets stuck in my head often is, "Forrest Gump, you were my mind boy, running on my mind boy, Forrest Gump." Cancers have a tendency to linger on thoughts, especially the emotional nature of them. I don't subscribe to the stereotype that states that Cancers are crybabies, but these natives are very emotionally strong and emotionally stubborn. Their emotions are forefront in memory, and so is the way Forrest made Frank feel. This is why Cancer tends to live in their past more than they live in their present, as the past is established and comfortable while the present is in constant flux. Lines such as "Forest Green, Forest Blues, I'm remembering you, if this is love love, I know it's true, I won't forget, illustrate the previous point perfectly as well. The Forest Blues points toward Frank being in his feelings over a past situation, whether over something that happened when they were together or over the breakup itself. Frank is sad, and a Cancer will never forget how someone made them feel. This is peak alternative R&B for me, with its almost high concept use of pop culture to create a metaphor for how he felt in this particular relationship. The song actually has more ties to his namesake film, as it has a sample from the University of Alabama's Crimson Tide cheerleaders. In the movie, this is Forrest's alma mater, as he played football on the team. This is one of the many tracks written by Malay, with production by Malay and Keith, the three of them, including Frank, being the mainstay producers and the writers on most of these songs. Though this next song is a notable departure from the norm with its production notes. The fifth sign, Leo, has been paired with rap and R&B laced Super Rich Kids, another one of my favorites, especially to sing. This song has more writers than the typical song on this album, though that's mostly due to the sample. This song samples music legend Mary J. Blige's Real Love, which came out almost exactly 20 years before Channel Orange debuted. This sample earned the writers from Blige's song credits on this track, including Mark Cerrone and Morales, and the Robinsons, Nathaniel and Kirk. Even another music legend, Roy Hammond, is credited as he wrote a song that is sampled on Mary's song, kind of a sample within a sample turducken. Then of course, we have Leone native Tebe Gotsitsile, who is better known as Frank's fellow Odd Future member Earl Sweatshirt, who wrote his amazingly delivered verse. I know I'm talking way too much about the song and not enough about its tie to Leo, but I want to give you guys a look into the way my brain works. This song is very reminiscent of Benny and the Jets by Elton John due to the punchy staccato piano notes that drive the bass line. This then reminded me that Mary J also sampled that exact song in 1999 with her song Deep Inside. I'm basically saying that if you love Super Rich Kids and haven't listened to those other two, Deep Inside and Benny and the Jets, then pause this, open up another tab, and then go listen to those. Then come back, please. Anyway, speaking on the sample, Real Love, I'm searching for a real love. Leos are associated with romance and unconditional love. They're tied to the heart in medical astrology, and their search for joy and the uninhibited feeling of childhood makes them crave and seek true love. This fact sometimes comes at a detriment to their well-being, but it always works out for their betterment in the end. No matter how unhealthy, these two are searching for genuine love from one another, though they find temporary respite in the drugs first. Additionally, immaturity is often a negative trait associated with fire signs. Leonine natives exhibit this immaturity when they choose to make bad decisions in the process of seeking love and acceptance. In their search for fun and enjoyment, they can often end up in the wrong places. Finally, while not outright said, the subjects of the song seem to be blessed or cursed with the fame and fortune often associated with Leo. All of this glamour and the idea of immaturity is evoked in Earl's verse, specifically in bars like, "Caddy smashing bratty ass, he mad he snatched his daddy's jag and used that shit for batting practice." In fact, Earl's whole rap discusses the more self-destructive traits of Leo. This line displays the sometimes self-centered nature of Leonine natives, expressing their anger by inflicting pain on others. Leos are very expressive, and despite their genial nature, are still passionate fire signs. This is also a very childish expression of emotion, and our inner child is linked with this sign. Rounding up the first half of the zodiac and the first half of this video, we have Virgo. Leaning more on her mutable nature than her earthiness, I have assigned this song Lost to this song. This funky pop rock tune evokes feelings of psychedelic pop from the 60s, but I can't quite put my finger on why. It was written by Michael Otano and Paul Famous Shelton, the latter of whom was very active in the pop scene at the time. As for the production, we have our usual three culprits. They utilize a sample from the 1998 film Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I can't place whether the sample is in the TV flickers that often act as transitions between each song on the album, or if it's in the muffled conversation that seems to be taking place in the background of each verse. This song has Frank showing Virgo's tendency to get caught up in work and the money coming in as opposed to the things that can be done with the money. Lyrics like, "And I just want to know why you ain't been going to work. Boss ain't working you like this. He can't take care of you like this," further displays Virgo's focus on work and duty. It also exhibits their often gently direct nature, as this is very much a line a Virgo would say to their out-of-work partner. "This place is a mess, and I just want to know why you ain't been going to work." Virgos also take great care of their partner, even to the extent of being servile at times. He's taking care of her and giving her a job. Frank is also selling his product to give himself and the girl a better life, with every drug run always being the last one. But obviously it's never really the last one. This woman shows Virgo's dedication to their partner, disregarding their own safety or comfort for their devotion. "Hand me my triple weight so I can weigh the work I got on your girl." Frank's weighing out his product, showing the minutiae of his work life. The song could focus on all the stuff he could buy for her, selling all this stuff, or even getting high on it themselves, but instead he discusses weighing it up and strapping it to her. Frank employs this girl as a mule, being her boss in addition to being her lover, ostensibly providing her with both employment and physical care, two things tied to the 6th house and as such to Virgo. Okay, if you haven't been listening to each song with each explanation, then here's your chance to go listen to some of the album. Go get you some snacks, a drink, and take a break from my dulcet, some would even say melodious voice. We haven't even covered my favorite song yet, so come on back after a word from our sponsor, who is literally just me from a different day. This video is brought to you by me. I am the astrologer behind AstroChiron.com, the one-stop shop for all astrological readings, articles, horoscopes, and art. I have a free ask feature that you can use for quick questions that I will respond to via blog post. Readings range from $25 to $200, whether you want 3 questions answered in detail, all the way to a thorough hour-long or more reading from me personally via phone or video chat, discussing your entire natal chart, the aspects within it, and each planet's placement. The first 20 subscribers to this channel will gain access to all 20 plus written and live readings at a 40% off discount. Again, that's AstroChiron.com, ASTRO-CHIRON.com. Don't forget the hyphen and join our community today. On to this chill and psychedelic R&B track, which I think is fitting for Libran energy with their laid-back manner and their love of aesthetic. Pilot Jones was produced by the dream team of Malay and Keith, but this time Keith even has a credit for background vocals as well. It was written by Shay Taylor and has no samples. Something of a continuation of the last song, previous in the Zodiac, not previous on the track list, this song equates drugs with love, a metaphor I definitely associate with Libra. They don't need to be in a relationship, don't get me wrong, but it does feel good to be in one for them. A Libran's lack of self-expression or happiness or even stimulation may turn them toward relationships just out of habit, even if they're not with a good partner or one that is ultimately good for them. You're the dealer and the stoner with the sweetest kiss I've ever known. This line represents the dichotomy of the user and the supplier. She's the source of his addiction and she enjoys the outcome of his addiction. This shows Libra's tendency to be all things to all people, as well as their tendency to mold people for their own purposes. The last part also points towards Libra's geniality and tendency to cover up ills and pains with kisses and sweet words. Frank is laid back in the song, allowing her to guide his high and really the whole relationship, taking Libra's laid back and often lax attitude. But if I got a condo on a cloud, then I guess you can stay at my place, really cements this feeling. Despite all the bad decisions and toxicity, Frank is saying that if he's in a good place, she will be too. If he gets a raise, she benefits. If he buys a cheesecake, she gets a slice, if not half. When Libras are happiest, they want their partner there too, even if their partner was a reason for their unhappiness sometimes. I hope that was a word for someone, amen. At this point, I saw that listening to the album in this order certainly tells something of a story. Aries tells a story of an independent life of fun, Taurus gets sex involved, and then Gemini evokes much thought, while Cancer evokes much memory. Leo brings in success in their relationship and in Frank's career, whether it's dealing music or dealing his product. Then we have the lost devotion of Virgo, leading into the irritation relationships can sometimes bring. Now we're at Scorpio, which I pair with Sierra Leone. I think this song discusses an alternate Frank, perhaps the Frank from this orange universe that got his partner pregnant at a young age. It focuses on how different he'd be and how his life would be, or how it is in this world. This hypothetical thought experiment is extremely scorpionic to me, with all of the analyzing or what ifs and might be's. This song also focuses on the transformation of the characters, specifically Frank, from stupid teenage lovers to responsible parents by the end. We'll start with the lyrics, spending too much time alone, and I just run out of Trojans, horses gallop to her throne. We all know about Scorpio's focus on sex and the intimate connection formed behind it. This includes the first part of this line, as Scorpios tend to have intense relationships, most often in solitude with their partner. This obviously doesn't involve only sex, but the intimate moments shared between two lovers when no one else can intercede on how they share themselves. This foreboding energy that spending too much time alone could and does lead to is resolved by the end. We see that in the line, "And a new day will bring about the dawn. And a new day will bring another crying babe into the world." Scorpio is linked with self-transformation, and the imagery of the new day bringing the new dawn paints the picture of the whole world being renewed. It also represents the characters of the song and their evolution specifically. The last part of this line points to the birth of the character's child. The ultimate rebirth and the ultimate result of Scorpio's intimacy and alone time is new life, and I think that's beautiful. This underrated alternative R&B banger was produced by Malay and written by him and Keith as well. If this is an entire narrative, as a journey through the Zodiac often is, then this is where things turn south, for our character anyway. Monks was chosen for Sagittarius solely for the title. In its original form, this video was a Tumblr post on my account, which is still up by the way. Then I assigned the songs to the signs by title only. Then I listened and made changes based on lyrics. This song never changed. Monks was produced by the Dream Team and written by Malay. This is another example of the funky pop rock vibe that I coined for Lost. This is interesting because I have always loved the pairing of Virgo and Sagittarius together. I even married a Virgo sun, Sagittarius moon native. This song chronicles a meeting with a groupie, which is connected to Sag's rock star vibe. Traveling countries, writing songs, and positively affecting masses are things that Sagittarius is definitely interested in. Lyrics like mosh pits and bare chests, stage diving, skydiver, spray paint crowd with cold water. Now it's mosh pits and wet tis. I think I need a cold shower. Gives Sagittarian vibes. Sag is ruled by jovial and beneficially social Jupiter. Rockstar energy in general is very Sagittarian to me in its wider aspects. Each line exudes freedom, fun, and physical exploration. The parties, the loop behavior, and stimulating music would all be perfect for Sag's huge energy and need for experiences, including travel. This song represents the foreign interest of Sagittarius. They love accents and different cultures and foreign people, romantically as well as platonically. African girl speaks an English accent, likes to fuck boys in bands, likes to watch westerns, and ride me without the hands. There's actually a hodgepodge of cultures represented with this African girl, depending on what country and region she's from, and if she's of a tribal culture or not. Then there's her English accent, with an interest in rock and grunge bands, who watches American Western movies, and who has an expansive taste in romance. As for the title, a monk, as defined by Oxford, is a member of a religious community of men typically living under vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. While the latter part of this definition sounds more like Capricorn, evolved Sages are very monk-like once they found their cause in their moral path. Additionally, I believe that many rock stars do consider themselves gurus, their music spiritual lessons, and their tours pilgrimages. I guess our character went on tour as a new dad and cheated on his wife real bad, or maybe she went with him. Okay guys, we made it to my favorite song. I chose this song for Capricorn not because I am one, but because it exemplifies almost every tenet of Capricorn, and that is why it's my favorite. This is probably in the top 10 of my favorite songs of all time, all due to its complexity, its length, and its production. It was produced by Malay and Keith and written by Malay. This particular masterpiece comes to you in two parts, as some of Frank's more notable masterpieces do. The first part is very funk focused, leading into the electro house transition. Fun fact, actually, John Mayer has an uncredited guitar solo during this transition. It's fucking beautiful. Part 2 switches to more of a psychedelic soul vibe, far more laid back. Though metaphorical, the song focuses on history and royalty. Cleopatra may have been a Capricorn by some calculations. Her outright rule of an empire as a woman would support that in my eyes. She was intelligent, business-minded, and well-known. This song also shows a shift in status typically associated with Saturn and Capricorn. Though Saturn typically brings slow but sure progression, if the lessons he presents us aren't learned from and considered, he can take us down just as low as he would drive us up. The character in this song goes from Queen Cleopatra to Cleopatra working weekends at the pyramid. Both demand attention, seek respect, and accumulate wealth, though society sees them so differently from who they are. As for our main character, he's obviously a pimp. Or maybe he owns the pyramid, or maybe both, which seems like a really good business decision, to be honest. Like Capricorn, he demands respect. Lines like, "The way you say my name makes me feel like I'm that nigga, but I'm still unemployed. You say it's big, but you take it. Ride cowgirl," exemplify this. Capricorns get off on respect. Capricorn is one of those signs that has a link to sex, but primarily because of the power of it and its link to Pan, the god of exuberant pleasure. She says his name like he's the best. She compliments his assets, even if they're not very big to her. Even though he's unemployed, he's still the head of the household while they're having sex. This one shows Capricorn's sense of joy coming from others' good perceptions of them, even if it's not the right one. He's broke, he may not have the biggest penis, and he may not even be the only one, but she makes him feel like all of those things aren't true, and that's all that matters to him. Then there's "We'll run to the future, shining like diamonds in a rocky world, rocky world. Our skin like bronze and our hair like cashmere, as we march to the rhythm on the palace floor." This line represents Capricorn's focus on the future. Frank aims to be decked in gems, sun-kissed, and confidently walking even in a rocky world. Like Capricorn, he aims to dominate his environment and get the best out of it, to his own benefit. He's focused on them improving themselves and being presented as a man of prestige and as a king. In our narrative, I believe our main character found love, found success, and brought his love with him. She's followed him from every aspect of his money-making, even acting as accomplice, co-worker, and sometimes the product, like in the last song. She, or they, with our bisexual king, has now been placed so high on a pedestal that Frank has made this person his god, framing the basis of bad religion. Having this love appear to be unrequited either caused or further proved his own negative feelings toward the whole idea of devotion and love itself. Perhaps his partner is done with the business. He goes on to say, this unrequited love, to me, it's nothing but a one-man cult. I have a long-standing idea that Aquarians are attracted to odd social constructs, especially things like cults. Every Aquarian I know has expressed interest in cults, dictatorships, or supreme leadership in the New World Order. That said, this line points toward Frank seeing himself as a worshiper in one of those cults, and he wants the hell out. This also reminds me of every Aquarian I've ever known, once they found themselves in love. Aquarians aren't known for expressing their feelings in a conventional sense. Instead of going to a therapist or having to discuss his feelings or going to a confidant and having to burden them, Frank chose to make his taxi driver his shrink. I mean, he's paying him either way. And lines like, and you say Allahu Akbar, I told him, don't curse me. But Bo, you need prayer. I guess it couldn't hurt me. If it brings me to my knees, it's a bad religion. The bad religion shows the Aquarian distrust of religion, devotion to something one can't see, use, or study. The driver tries to bless him, but he isn't interested in spiritual intervention, despite mentioning demons earlier in the song. Aquarians aren't necessarily interested in or focused on religion because of the typical outright devotion involved in it. It's a turnoff for Aquarians who are typically more interested in science and the power of people. Frank is associating this failed attempt at finding religion with the unrequited love he's experiencing with the subject of his devotion. This heartbreaking song has a new writer in Monte Newell, who has played keyboard for and engineered on several pop and R&B classics like Teenage Dream by Katy Perry and Mariah Carey's It's a Rap. Then there's Charlie Gambetta, Kevin Rist, and Wayne Nugent. The latter two are known as the Meaty Mafia, with their best-known song being 21 Questions by internet troll 50 Cent. This orchestral soul track was produced by Malay and Keith as usual. We carry our narrative to its end with Crack Rock, where I believe our main character is comparing his love of status, his love of money, his love of this person to a smoker's love of their drug of choice. Frank said that he sung this song so it would sound like a smoker singing it. He wanted the fractured breath to show a life of pain as well as the self-abuse, which is often an unintentional result of substance use. Crack rock could also speak of a physical crack in the rock, a split in the foundation of all of his other relationships, as isolation is a common theme for Pisces. I've noticed that Pisceans have a bit of an inferiority complex. This is typically portrayed as a sense of martyrdom, but can even be expressed as a complete feeling of inadequacy and ineffectuality. This is due to their tendency to outwardly exude peace, even if they are in distress. You don't know how little you matter until you're all alone, in the middle of Arkansas, with a little rock left in the glass dick. This line explicitly mentions crack, an extremely addictive substance. Pisces does have a link to addictions, and in this case, we could replace crack with any momentarily good but terminally bad thing like constant sex, copious alcohol, less deleterious drugs, or even sleeping food. Then there's the lyrics, don't no one hear a sound, don't no one disturb the peaceful riot, don't no one disrupt nirvana, don't no one want to blow the high. This line points out how Pisces tend to zone out and escape, especially when the world is a bit too much. Sleep is a common escape, as Pisceans tend to have amazing dreams that likely beat a shitty or stressful life or even a momentarily tense situation. Nirvana, the ultimate escape from the material, is often associated with Pisces, as is the dream world. They're constantly trying, whether purposefully or subconsciously, to connect with the great other or the universe or God. Anything blowing their high or disrupting their nirvana will be cut off indiscriminately. Okay, follow me. You're in a high school biology class with the lab attached in the back. You're sitting on one of those stools that swing out that are a tad too uncomfortable for daily use but fun enough to play around on. Across from you is your best friend, and I mean you guys have already been friends for almost a decade and you're barely 15. Anyway, that friend offers you one of their earbuds. You grab the earbud almost too quick. This friend is renowned for their taste in music. They press play, and this melancholy voice comes on over an equally melancholy track. You just discovered cynicism not too long ago, so this is right up your alley, right? The artist sings about heartbreak and lying and tornadoes flying around rooms, and Jesus, are you about to cry? You cannot cry during first period, even if you have just heard the best song you've ever heard in your heretofore short life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how I discovered this album. I listened to Thinkin Bout You with my friend, and as soon as I made it home, I made my way over to iTunes. I spent the next week playing Channel Orange over and over and over, sometimes in order, sometimes on shuffle, and sometimes just by playing Pyramids 3 times in a row because that's about how long it took me to get from one task to the other when I was multitasking. I love this album more than I can adequately express, and as far as Frank Ocean goes, the only other project that tops this one is his second studio album, Blonde. Don't be surprised when you see that album on this playlist soon enough. This album is a certified no skip, so give it a listen if you haven't already. And with that, I'd like to thank you guys for watching the video. If you like the video, I have good news for you. There's a button for that. And right beside that is the subscription button, so you'd be saving a lot of energy just by clicking that guy as well. The flow of this channel has been thoroughly set at this point. There will be about 12 weeks of videos that are all related, usually explanatory series which help aim to teach astrology to those who prefer this type of instruction. Those will be punctuated by a standalone video, usually much longer than this series' videos. These will be much more entertainment focused, pop culture heavy, and will be my attempts at making video essays like this one. Then there'll be another standalone video, this one smaller, likely seeking to help heal or give advice to certain placements or aspects. Stay tuned for the next standalone video, seeking to show you guys how to nurture yourselves during the moon cycle. Then there'll be the next series discussing the ins and outs of each astrological sign. Until then, guys, thank you so much and much love.